Mesdames et messieurs, l'arbitre technologique, le français est arrivé! Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel. But anyway, the French tech tree has finally arrived. For some of you, you've waited almost 5 years to get this. As you can see in the video, this was pre-recorded, so I'm looking around and stuff. And I'm comparing the aircraft I'm taking out, the Potez, hopefully I said that right, Potez 631. Sorry, my throat is a little itchy, so if I sound weird, I apologize. But, the one I'm going to be taking out is the Potez 631. The other one, heavy fighters, are the Potez 630 with just two 20mm. And then the one I like, the Potez 361 with six 7.5mm Mac machine guns and two Hispano 404 cannons. The odd thing about the 633 is that it's supposed to be a ground attack version of maybe the 631 or 630, and yet only one Mac machine gun, and from what I saw, not even a 500 kilogram bomb load. So, yeah. But the 631, from the battles I've taken it out, it is a joy to fly. It almost looks like a French version of the BF-110, the German BF-110, no pun intended. But, and I compared the two, which I didn't do in this video, and they look really cool. So, here we are on, I think this is Normandy? Yeah, it is Normandy. It's, part of the new, map system where Gaijin has taken tank maps and made them available for air RB missions. This is something I've actually been waiting for a long time, because I thought, it's a shame. Here these tank maps are... Sure, the tank battlefields, I know some of you might say, they're too small. Well, yeah, the tank battlefields can be too small, aka Berlin or Ash River, although the latter is because it's an old map from 2013. And when I say 2013, Tank CPT ran for, I don't know how early in 2013, up until March, April of 2014. That's when OBT was released. But I always would fly around, or not always, but when I would fly around in those maps in custom battles, I would think, here, the tank maps are, the tank battlefields themselves are small, sorry, but the outer part for aircraft is just unused. And I remember I did a questions of the team about it a while back. This is before I joined the team. They were like, I'll never forget Scarper's reply, and he's like, well, we can't just have a big wall around the small edges of the battlefield, do we? And I was like, really? He always has awesome answers. No, really. Anyway, but yeah, we finally got the tank maps in ARB. Now, granted, some of them needed some rework, because when they released this back in 1.71, I was so hyped up with the Tier 6 tanks and playing those, and I didn't really have an opportunity to do the Air RB maps, or excuse me, the tank maps in Air RB until 1.73 dropped with the French tree, and I was able to get a full gist of it. But so far, I like it. It could use a little rework, like, I don't know, this map might be a bit too big for low tier battles, but I thought it was okay. They were averages of about 20-minute battles, which is fairly I haven't played low tier RB in a while, so don't quote me on the averages. But I'm liking them. And of course I'm liking the new French low tier aircraft, including this one. As you can see there's that visual bug where you do slight damage on the plane, and in the replay it takes away their marker, because he's still alive, that HE-111. As you can see the scoreboard, I haven't got him yet, but you also saw the marker for that SM-79, so I don't know what the deal is, which is why I like to keep that little score, or I don't know if you call it battle log, not scoreboard, battle log up so you can see how the battle is going during the replay. But the Potez 631, it's a great starter heavy fighter. I mean, for its tier, it's more powerful than most heavy fighters you'll get later down the line. Oh, and that was another thing I wanted to mention about the Narwhal. It has ridiculously long queue times. Now, I know it's probably because everybody wants to play as the French planes, but at this point, it's just not worth doing it in RP at this time. Because the average queue time is anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes. And doing that for an average of a 10, maybe 15 minute game, it's just not worth it. But at least there's the lower tiers you could play. Granted, RP gain isn't that great, because the reason I say that is because you play a tier 2 trying to grind late tier 3 and tier 4. It's just not as much as if you would play as if you were playing the Narwhal or other premium plane. So when I unlock tier 4, depending on which plane I like best at tier 4, I'll get a talisman for it. Make the grind a little easier for when I start to be able to research jets. Now, one thing I'd like to discuss also is on low tier battles is veteran players playing low tier against newbie student players, I should say student players, playing low tier against each other. A lot of people think, well, that's just not fair. Here's this experienced player playing against a bunch of newbies. Well, yeah, it can be a little frustrating when you're new to the game and you go up against somebody that's been playing for like 5 years and you're still trying to learn the ropes. So like, how do I turn the plane? And then boom, they sneak up on you. But the way I see it is, when it comes to student players, you as the student player, it is your responsibility to learn how to play the game. If you really want to play War Thunder or any other game, and granted you will face, depending on the game you play of course, go up against veteran players that have been playing the game for a very long time, you just gotta learn, and you'll have a better chance. And an additional defense for it is because some of us like playing our old planes that maybe we played back in 2013 or whenever we joined War Thunder for the first time, and we're like, these planes are awesome. Like, I can still remember I was at my friend's house IRL and he's playing War Thunder. This was back in, I think, January of 2013, and I was watching him play, and that was amongst the first games I observed, aside from Need for Speed World, where it was online MMO, and I started to understand the concept, hey, you cannot pause an online MMO game. Because if you could pause it, everyone else would have to pause, and obviously people could abuse that. So at any rate, he has to go downstairs and get something. He's like, take over the controls for me, and I'm like, oh, cool. So I'm like trying to learn, and I'll never forget the first plane I shot down in the P-26 M2. It was a bullfighter that was in a dogfight with another plane. I forgot what the other plane was engaging, but I shot down a bullfighter. And that was back when Matchmaker was still in its development, and it was possible to see jets. Thankfully, no jets went after me that game, but I do remember seeing them, and I was a newbie with War Thunder and Flight Sim, so I'm like, oh, what are these planes? And when I shot down the bullfighter, I was like, cool, I shot down my first plane. I didn't know much about the bullfighter, or that it was supposed to be an OP plane for its tier with 4 20mm cannons. All I knew was, hey, I shot down my first plane. And then when he comes back up, my friend comes back upstairs, he takes over the controls again. And this is back when you could take like 5 minutes of fuel, and that's what he did. And then he's like, oh, I'm out of fuel. So he tries to glide back to base, and when he realizes he can't make it, he tries to land on by the rice terraces. This was on the old rice terraces map. And when I say old, the map is still around, of course, but it's one of the oldest maps in the game. I think it was even around back in Birds of Steel or Birds of Wings. I get the names confused. But I never owned Birds of Steel or Wings of Prey. But I obviously, well, funny way wording ownership, because you don't technically own War Thunder, because you're not renting it and you're not borrowing it, but you play it, but it's technically not yours because it's not a hard copy. Or it's not something you buy on Steam. That bug there with that biplane. But, deviating a little bit, the Potez 631 is a bomber killer. This thing is awesome. With its 20 millimeters and its not 30 British 303s are 7.7. I wonder what 7.5 is. Is it like 300 cal? I don't know. Don't ask me because I'm not really familiar with gun calibers. But at any rate, the 7.5 max have with the all tracers have IT rounds, which can catch stuff on fire nicely. Well, most of the time, except that part. The D3A. Now, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, my friend, he takes his P-26M2, he's coming into land, and he crashes, of all things, into an armored truck. Well, not armored truck, but cargo truck. And we were laughing hysterically. And I was like, I really want this game. So, when I got home, I started looking for the game, and you won't believe this. I forgot the name of War Thunder. So I'm thinking, okay, I know what the game was like, so I'm looking around, and I think I find it. And then I find out, after I install it, you gotta bear in mind, I had really slow internet at that time. It took me 3 days to download it, and I found out I downloaded the wrong game. It was Heroes in the Sky, which I didn't really play that much because I'm like, man, I wanted War Thunder. I don't really remember much from Heroes in the Sky, but I do remember it as me getting the wrong game. So finally I ask my friends when I see them in February, and bear in mind, when I say February, when I was introduced to War Thunder in January 2013, it was late January, like the last week. I don't remember the exact day. But at any rate, I asked them, hey, what was the name of that game again? They were like, it's War Thunder. And I was like, can you email me the link? So they emailed me that. A few days to download War Thunder. I can't remember if it was 3 or 6. I'm like, let the computer on that long, download War Thunder, and finally, I get to play it for myself. And for some reason, I decided to try to play it with a joystick. Big mistake, because as I'm trying to configure my controls for the joystick, people are like chasing after me, and I'm like, really guys, I just want to figure out how to use the joystick. So finally I asked someone how to set up a joystick, and they're like, just use mouse aim. I'm like, okay. So I try that and I figure out that's so much better. And I stuck with War Thunder ever since. And another influence that got me into War Thunder also was one of Jingle's videos on I remember it was on the I can't remember, it was in one of the Japanese arcade maps. I forget its name. It's an arcade domination map with 2 capture points, and he was flying out the big calibers German planes like the Ju-87G, Me-410 U4s, that sort of thing, and I'm like, this is awesome. So, thanks to my friend and Jingles, I have been with War Thunder 5 years going strong. I've seen the introduction of tanks, the introduction of Italian aircraft, the introduction... Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Introduction of tanks, for Russia and USSR. Excuse me. USSR and Germany, the introduction of American tanks, introduction of British tanks, introduction of Japanese tanks, introduction of the Italian air tech tree, the introduction of the French air tech tree, and the pre-release of the Italian ground forces, you could say. And I feel like I am forgetting something. Oh yes, it is the quote-unquote cough cough pre-beta of ships. Pre-beta for naval forces. Yeah. Why am I so hung up on that, you might ask? Well, to keep it discreet, I'm skeptical of the term pre-beta. In my eyes, it's kind of like, I don't know if you'd call it a second alpha, but I don't mean to rant, so I'm just going to keep it simple and just state the facts. If you bought the naval packs back last year in 2016, such as the Project 1124 rocket boat with the T-34 gun, or Kennedy's PT-109 patrol boat, or that Schnellboot S-44, because I think it's an S-44, to this day, you can't play it. Sure, you have access to the beta, but you only play ships when the development team wants you to play them. So unless the beta is going on, or excuse me, the testing is going on, and you play as what they have for you to play, that's it. You can't play Kennedy's PT-109, you can't play as the Project 1124, and you can't play as the Schnellboot, or any of the other packs. It's sad, but that is how it is. You can't even play it in custom battles for over a year, as of November 5th, 2017, which is when I recorded the narration for this video. But enough on that. I'll just finish it off by simply saying I hope that soon you'll be able to play the boats and ships that you paid good money for. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, so Potez 631. It is a fun plane to fly, especially in low tier. Low tier is still fun. If you ever get frustrated with high tier matches, whether it be tanks or planes, just do low tier planes, whether it be arcade or realistic, preferably realistic. It'll definitely make you feel better. Well, anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video, and hope to be able to make more content again now that the November Self has kind of died down a bit. Well, it's finished. It's been a great 5 years, and I hope to see War Thunder for its 10th year. Well, anyway, until next time, peace out.